Hey, it's me, Tyler. Bose open earbuds are stylish. The color, the way it looks almost like an earring, so I feel like it could go with anything. My style is very fun. I feel like I always look like I'm on holiday. I just really like playing around with it and tying it to the music. So yeah, I really feel like the music I'm making right now feels like a holiday, so I want to look like it too. Check out Bose.com for more.
Today on CityCast Boise, we're digging into a controversial new development in Meridian and how citizens feel about it. And we're discussing the surge in Gen Z voter registration and how that could impact local races. Plus, we've got a Basque and viral beach volleyball pick of the week. It's Friday, October 11th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Happy Friday, everyone. Joining me today is our executive producer, Frankie Barnhill. Thanks for being here, Frankie.
Hey, Lindsay. Happy to be here.
So there is a lot of news. We're going to jump right in because there is some news that is making big waves in Meridian. Lots of people are talking about it. Have you heard about the new development that's coming to Meridian?
Yeah, the district at 10 Mile, which has definitely been in the news as one of those massive developments that's been talked about for many years now, and officially has been greenlit by the Meridian City Council a few weeks ago. And so we're kind of digging in on what it actually is and what people's reaction has been to it, because it hasn't all been positive.
Mostly not positive, unless you're the developer, I feel like.
So it's at 10 Mile, yes, indeed. And it's right off I-84. We'll be right off I-84. There's that one large parcel of farmland that will soon no longer be farmland. Kind of that final, one of the final parcels left really is very symbolic, I think, as far as just like the crazy growth that Meridian has seen in the last 10 to 20 years. And it's going to be a large-scale project spread over 200 acres, retail, supposed to be movie theater, hotel, restaurants, some commercial, and residential space. So kind of everything.
Yeah.
And it comes from Tommy Ahlquist's company, Ahlquist Development. Of course, he's a very well-known developer in the Treasure Valley, ran for governor several years ago. People might remember that. But of course, in the development world, 8th and Main in downtown Boise, which talk about a symbolic moment like 2012, whenever that came up, 2013. He's mostly done like commercial stuff, but this is going to be a big mix of everything. And yeah, kind of across from Shields and probably lots of chicken restaurants that are nearby. I don't know. That's a joke.
all the chicken restaurants lining 10 Mile right now.
Yeah. What stands out to you about this project as someone who lives in Meridian?
Oh, I mean, how much time do you have? I mean, first of all, I think the biggest frustration for me, and I don't think I'm alone in this as a Meridianite, is that they didn't do a traffic study at all. And now I know all the listeners have not been on 10 Mile, so let me illuminate that for you as someone who lives adjacent to 10 Mile. 10 Mile is the new Eagle, but not as many lanes.
Yikes.
It is a nightmare to drive on between 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. and then subsequently 2:30 p.m. to about 7 p.m. Absolute nightmare. It is actually faster for me to drive partially across Meridian and try to get on the highway on Meridian Road than on 10 Mile anymore. That's how bad the traffic is.
Wow.
It can take me 15 minutes to get from my home to the highway. And
Wow.
it's
And you're
not
really
a fast road.
You're really close to 10 miles. How long did it used to take?
3 minutes too.
Wow.
Like when we first moved here, 2 minutes. We just zip on the highway. Traffic gets backed up from about Cherry Lane to the highway. That's over a mile in rush hour that traffic is completely backed up. So there was no traffic study done, and this development is going to have so much housing.
And you said the lanes, because it's not as wide as Eagle Road.
No,
Right.
it's 2 lanes, both on both sides. Some areas have a turning lane, some areas do not. And so it's just, the traffic is going to be horrendous. The traffic is already bad. the Ada County Highway District staff reported that 10 Mile's level of service during its afternoon peak is an F. So before this development has even happened, we're getting an F on 10 Mile. So let's add a 200-acre shopping center, housing, this whole area to that, and let's see what happens. So a lot of the frustration is at the Meridian City Council for not doing their due diligence, I feel like, or not looking at the impact this will have. It really feels like developers in this area, especially on 10 Mile, are just getting the green light. Everything's getting greenlit because we have growth, because they want growth. So everything's getting greenlit, and it's negatively impacting the people who live here. And it doesn't feel like our city council is listening to us about this.
Wow. Yeah. The Idaho Statesman did a great write-up, including some like emails and, things from the public and during some public hearings in September, what people were saying in Meridian. And people were, very vocal, very clear in their concerns about the traffic issues that already exist, and then how this could exacerbate it. I do think it's interesting, the study that you mentioned, the ACHD one, but the bigger thing is that ITD kind of last minute said like, hey, you guys should do a traffic study. This is our recommendation before you go through with this. And the attorney for Alquist Development was like, too little, too late. We've known about this. You've known about this development forever, ITD. Why didn't you put this in before? It's consistent with the plan that's existed in Meridian for forever. So it's fascinating though, because yes, it is consistent with the plan, but Meridian, since the last major study was in 2007, apparently. Mm-hmm. And between 2010 and 2020's census, Meridian more than doubled in population. So the fact that there hasn't been a major study in so long, when Meridian was truly like a suburban, a little pocket community outside of Boise that was mostly still farmland with, yes, some housing that was starting to develop more and more on those old farms. But what a different place Meridian was in 2007 from now, to say the least.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it really did feel like the Development's Council, Jeffrey Wardell, was very dismissive of Meridianites' concerns. One citizen brought up that her child goes to Chaparral Elementary, and that school is overcrowded at this point. A lot of the elementary schools in Meridian are. So she brought that up, that there's going to be 400 new townhomes in this development.
Right.
Minimum
untold number of kids.
Yeah. Who knows how many kids, but minimum probably 400 cars. But then, how many kids are going to be in these townhomes? And they're going to be in these already overcrowded elementary schools. And that was really kind of poo-pooed by the council, saying, well, the housing's only going to be on 9 acres, completely sidestepping that it doesn't matter how many acres it is. It matters how many children are there, and then how many children will be going to the school. So it just really feels like people, they aren't listening to the voices of people in Meridian when it comes to these developments.
It brings up for me like impact fees, right? Developer impact fees, which has been a long-standing debate in the Treasure Valley and in Idaho. For people who don't know, it's basically, it makes sense. It's when a developer is building something, there's fees attached for them to develop in a certain area to help support services such as fire and police and roads and all of that. Of course, in Meridian, which is part of Ada County, so that's Ada County Highway District, some of the money goes there. Anyway, it gets complicated quickly, but just thinking about in what direction we're going with impact fees and how a development like this really brings a lot of that to the fore and brings a lot of feelings up and, justifiable ones. Although, to play devil's advocate, like Meridian needs more housing, right? Where's the housing going to be if it's not a place like this?
No, and it's true. And that is really what it seemed like some of the members of city council were grappling with, is how do we navigate this? It just feels like 10 Mile has kind of become the pressure release valve where they're like, there's farmland on 10 Mile. Just throw them out there. Like, we don't know how the people on 10 Mile are doing, but they'll cope. They'll find a way. Something will happen. I also, Frankie, I have to tell you, I feel like my head almost exploded. One of the selling points for this development is they keep touting it as walkable. It's such a walkable development.
I saw that.
And I do words not mean anything anymore? Like that, when I tell you, I can almost not think of a less walkable road in Meridian than 10 Mile. My children are not allowed to walk on 10 Mile. They're not allowed to bike on 10 Mile. It is not a safe road. And so I guess maybe that's like saying the village at Meridian is walkable. I guess when you get there, but you had to drive there.
Yeah. And that's, it's so fascinating to think about the future of a place like Meridian where, housing has been more affordable than in Boise. And so it's fabulous that people are trying to think about how can we create communities within this community that might be walkable once you're there, but you're still having to go 45 miles per hour on 10 Mile or getting off the connector. You still need a car. It's not like people are going to be able to ditch their car if they live in this area, like that there's like rapid transit or something that's servicing the district at 10 Mile.
Nobody who lives along 10 Miles can be like, hey kids, let's go walk down to the district. That sounds like a hazardous activity for this afternoon. But once we get there, we can watch a movie.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it sounds like it's going to be it could be kind of a contained community, right? Like you live there, you go to the movie there, you eat there, whatever. But yeah, for the folks who aren't in that area, what does this mean?
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. October's spooky vibes and costumes make it one of my favorite times of the year. But if you feel like a mask isn't just part of your Halloween costume and instead is something you're wearing at work and around your friends and family, therapy could be a great way to stop hiding and feel more comfortable being yourself. Therapy has been a fantastic resource that's helped me develop new tools to cope with life's challenges and has empowered me to show up more authentically for myself and the people I care about. If you've been thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so you have the flexibility to talk to a licensed therapist when it's convenient for you. And it can be tricky finding a therapist you connect with, so BetterHelp has a questionnaire designed to remove the guesswork. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/citycast today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/citycast.
Hi, this is David Plotz of CityCast. Have you thought about a gift for yourself this year? One that has the power to help you grow and learn and become a better version of yourself? Give yourself the gift of language by getting Babbel. With quick 10-minute lessons handcrafted by language experts, Babbel gets you talking a new language in 3 weeks. Because talking is the key to really knowing a language. And that's how Babbel approaches it. It's designed for real conversation. So I have a trip to France planned with my girlfriend. Was it inspired by the Olympics? Yes, it was. And it's given me the chance to revive my old high school French. And it's so fun to catch back up with the vocabulary I'd forgotten. To remember all the food, for example. I'm in a lesson on ingredients, so I'm going to make crepes with butter and sugar. Avec sucre et de beurre salé, on va se régaler. We're going to have a feast. I learned this great new French expression too. J'en ai l'eau à la bouche. That means I have water in the mouth. It means it's mouth-watering. Love it. Love French. Anyway, Babbel gets you talking, and studies from Yale and Michigan State University and other leading universities prove that it works. So here is a special holiday deal for CityCast listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/citycast, spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Frankie, there's been a really interesting development leading into the election over the past month in Idaho. A lot of people are getting registered to vote, but it's not who you'd think.
Yeah, young people. Young people are showing up. So the Idaho Capital Sun, Mia Maldonado, shout out to Mia, did a story about this, pulling data from the Secretary of State's website, where they're gathering all this information and sharing it out, kind of election transparency stuff. And it made very clear that the time period from September 3rd to October 3rd, that the number of people under the age 30 who've registered to vote was way more than any other age group. And it was over 25,000 people registered to vote in the state, with nearly about almost 9,500 of those were between 18 and 29 in that time period. And it's following a trend that we've seen in Idaho over the last few months, and it's following a trend that we've seen, honestly, nationally since President Biden dropped out of the race. And there's been a surge in young people registering to vote. You might draw conclusions about which way they're leaning if right after Biden dropped out, then they registered to vote. And there's been enthusiasm for Vice President Harris's campaign. So, yeah, I don't know. What stands out to you about this?
I mean, from the article, I really liked kind of a breakdown of where they think this is coming from, because it really is unprecedented. There hasn't been such a surge in 18 to 29-year-olds registering to vote in the state of Idaho before. And so they're looking at why. They said, like you mentioned, when President Joe Biden stepped aside, that almost immediately over 500 young people registered to vote. And then when Taylor Swift endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris, that then almost 1,700 Idahoans registered to vote. So, I mean, we're seeing these spikes. It wasn't in the article, but I'd also like to give a shout out to Babe Vote. They have been working tirelessly to get young people registered to vote. They've been at every event, every festival, every fair. They were at Pride. They are door knocking. They're at schools. They're everywhere trying to get young people registered to vote and kind of informed on the issues. And so I don't have hard numbers on how many, but I know that they have seen a huge surge in registration. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because I know they are working so hard. Their social media has been on point. They really are working to get their peers engaged in the voting process, which is what we need.
Yeah, and they're a grassroots Idaho organization. I think it is interesting at this stage in the general election. Of course, we're mostly focused on what this means for local Idaho politics, but seeing Idaho follow this trend of enthusiasm in that under 30 age demographic mirroring the rest of the country is fascinating. And it speaks to, I think young people in Idaho, like there was a poll recently about young people's enthusiasm for Harris specifically, and seeing her as the change candidate. And so is that going to have trickle down in the down ballot races, the legislators that we're electing, the ballot initiatives we're passing in Idaho? And to see, I'm fascinated. I mean, registration doesn't mean voting. So
no, that's true.
That's the next thing.
You can't just register. You got to go. You got to go to the polls.
So, of course, seeing what, how many in this age group actually end up voting will be even more fascinating. But it's a good sign, I think, just for the future of Idaho's enthusiasm. I mean, no matter how you vote, it's always great to see more people getting engaged. And young people, they have a lot of things to be concerned about in Idaho. I mean, a lot of things to be concerned about. Abortion rights, of course, is top of mind for a lot of people, especially young women. And that could very well be part of the reason, large part of the reason for some of this surge.
I am very curious to see, with this huge surge in younger people voting, what will that look like for Prop 1? What will that look like for these district races, the Senate races, magistrate races? There's so many different things where that could have
races.
These
totally.
could have a huge impact. And young people, that is a chance for them to very much make their voices heard.
Voting means so many things. It also means that you at least believe or are hopeful in the system, and also in the place where you live, that by living in Idaho and registering to vote in Idaho, you're putting a vote in the future, that you're hoping that Idaho is a place And the Treasure Valley is a place that you can stay into your adulthood, into later years, and buy a house, whether it's in Meridian or Boise, have a family potentially if you want to, just flourish, do art, do cool things, build a business, whatever. And I think that hope, I don't know. I feel like as an elder millennial, I've heard so many over every general election, like the media, really puts attention on, but is very skeptical of young people and their impact. And to be fair, millennials sometimes don't do a great job of voting or haven't in the past, although has also been undercounted or, undervalued, I'd say, in some elections.
Yes.
But Gen Z, go for it. I love it. It's so good.
No, as a fellow elder millennial, I think we kind of bought into that. Oh, we can't change anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we aren't showing up. And Gen Z, I feel, is like kind of putting a stop to that. Like, no, I am going to vote. I am going to do something. Like, they don't subscribe to the narrative that they can't change things.
And this, of course, just a couple final notes. This comes after, they can't vote. Young people can't vote with their student IDs anymore. So that barrier clearly isn't stopping people, at least from registering, which is good to see. And then, today, Friday, October 11th, is the last day, the deadline to register either online or in person ahead of the election. Now, of course, you can register day of, but I think Lindsay would agree that it's probably smart to do it in advance.
And the deadline is 5 p.m.
Yeah, good call.
So get it early. You listen to this podcast, take a minute, go register. Don't wait.
Okay, Lindsay, I need to hear your pick of the week. I have an idea of what it might be, but go for it.
My pick of the week is Nora Haid. She plays beach volleyball at BSU. She's number 16. And she went viral after the team roster was posted online. And she was wearing her signature makeup, had her hair done so nicely, but didn't necessarily look like what you might imagine a beach volleyball player would look like. She has people have called it goth. I don't know that it's goth. She has bright red hair. And then also some of her hair is black. And then she has this very amazing eyeliner. Her artistic skills are amazing, but she does kind of a paler foundation makeup and then red and black along her eyes, this eyeliner up. Anyway, it went super viral. Everyone talking about, Boise State's goth beach volleyball player. And she actually came out and has said she's toned down her makeup look and that this is a 4 for her. But you know what? I love watching a woman just be herself, so unapologetically herself, and just love how she looks, love being artistic with her makeup and how she presents herself. And apparently she's an incredible beach volleyball player. So really how she presents should not be taking away from the fact that apparently she's incredible at this sport. So I love that she is a fantastic athlete. And in this team roster, I know I would probably be like, okay, I should probably look this certain way if this is going to be posted online. And that she didn't want to do that. And I think that's what went viral is we love when people are themselves and just unapologetically themselves. And that's my pick of the week. I am so happy for her. I think that this is amazing. And I don't know that I've ever necessarily been into beach volleyball. Not that I'm against it. I just, but now I'm I'm in. I'm committed.
You're going to go watch. Yeah.
I am 100%. 100%.
What a funny and fun thing to go viral this week about Idaho. That's not a negative thing.
I was going to say, we never make national news for something that's not horrendous.
The New York Times isn't talking about us positively.
No,
usually.
Thank you, Nora, for having us go viral for something that is really just fun and fun. It's never something fun in Idaho. So I love when we have something fun.
Agreed.
Okay, Frankie, what is your pick of the week?
Okay, I also have something fun and something that I'm, really, really lucky to have just experienced. Bass country. I just got back from an incredible, really fun, really cool trip that included a stop in Spain's Basque Country. And I went there intentionally because of the connection to Boise. You know, I'm not Basque. I know a few people who are, but I'm an admirer of the food, number one. The drinks, number two, the culture in general, I think is interesting, and the history, the art. And so, I was in Bilbao, which if you ever want to take a trip to Europe, I highly recommend it. And I think it's totally worth a few days in the Basque Country in general, and Bilbao maybe for a day and a half. If you're really into art, side note, Bilbao has an incredible Guggenheim Museum that's designed by Frank Gehry. It's very famous, and it's actually made the city, which was industrial and was going through some hard times. Then they decided to invest in this beautiful art museum, and it's put them on the map and made Bilbao this like really popular modern city. Anyway, could talk about that forever.
What was your favorite thing that you ate and drank in Basque Country?
Number one thing, and it's actually something you can get, and what's really fun is you can get this in Boise. That was what was cool, was certainly there were things that I ate that, not actually finding that on the Basque Block in Boise. This is very authentic to here. Mostly the seafood that you're not going to find in Boise. But you know what? The croquetas that I had were very similar to the ones that you can get at the Basque market. That was awesome. My other favorite thing, also you can find at the Basque market, is Hilda, I think is how you pronounce it. It's one of their pinchos, one of their tapas that's olive, anchovies, and this pepper. So it's a little spicy, very salty. So you gotta really love that vibe, which I do. And it's pickled, and it's so good on, like the toasted baguette. So good. Just in general, though, the whole vibe, it was really fun, but also just made me appreciate what Boise has. And it was really cool because I did a food and drink tour with a local there, a local Basque woman. And we were able to my husband and I were telling her about Boise and about how big of a deal the Basque community is in town. And she'd kind of heard about it, but then we were like showing her videos from San Ignacio Festival and stuff, and like what it looks like at the Basque Center. And she was blown away, and now she wants to come visit Boise. So I told her that she should definitely come for High Aldi this summer.
Yes. I would say good shout out to High Aldi. That is the perfect time for her to come visit.
Yeah, she was awesome. And one of the best things that she did is she taught me how to say thank you in Basque. Would you like to learn how to say thank you in Basque, Lindsay?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Basque language is the oldest language in all of Europe, which is hard to wrap your head around, and people actually don't really even know the origin of it. Like, it's an ancient language, and it's kind of tricky, like the X and the T and all those sounds. Here's the key and the trick. A scary Costco. We've all been to a scary Costco. A scary Costco. Say that back.
Okay, here we go. A scary Costco.
Oh, perfect.
Yes,
perfect.
All right. Nailed it first try. Except for I'm sure the Basque listeners will be like, not so much. Slow your roll, Lindsay. Slow your roll. That wasn't it.
I feel like we did okay. So that's how you say thank you in Basque.
I love it. That is such a great pick of the week. I'm so glad you got that opportunity to go to Basque Country. I've always wanted to go, and I'll just live vicariously through you.
Oh, and make a plan someday. Someday it should be in your bucket list.
Well, thank you so much, Frankie. There was a lot to cover, but I'm glad we also had some fun notes this week.
Truly. And a scary Costco, Lindsay.
A scary Costco. That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. The show is produced by Evelyn Avitia, Frankie Barnhill, and me, Lindsay Van Allen. Blake Hunter writes our Hey Boise newsletter with help this week from Natalia Aldana, and our music is by Up Is the Down Is The. We'll be taking Monday off for Indigenous Peoples Day, but we'll be back on Tuesday with a look at why the Albertsons-Kroger merger keeps making national news. You won't want to miss it.